Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. Local craft beer, old school fun, memorable moments. Our Cougars lost a heartbreaker 10-7 to the Stanford Cardinal last Saturday, dropping their 5th straight game, and it is tough times on the Palouse right now. Welcome to Talkin Cougars. I'm former Washington State quarterback Alex Brink, and I'm missing my receiver, Michael Bumpus. He's on the DL, he's a little sick. We got young kids, and that happens to us sometimes, and he couldn't make it, couldn't film, but I tell you what, he'll be back next week. I know he's going to bounce back stronger. Bump always does. I'm super lucky to be joined by some of my good friends. The voice of the Cougars, Matt Chazanow, our sideline reporter, Jessamine McIntyre, are going to weigh in on their thoughts for Coug football. But most importantly, I'm joined by the legend, former Washington State quarterback, the Godfather, Jack Thompson. It's time now for our Coug Spotlight, brought to you by Cougs First. Think Cougs First for products, services, and hiring. Jack, I can't thank you enough for joining Talkin Cougars. I couldn't think of anyone better to come on and talk about kind of where this team is at, where the program is at. Give me your, 30,000 foot view of where the squad is at right now, obviously in a tough moment.
It is tough, and it's an honor being on your show, Alex. It's good to see you and Bump have your own gig. You deserve it. We need to hear from you, and I love the fact that you guys are spouting Cougar football to the nation. So for me, we're at crossroads. I believe in terms of our team. I know our coaching staff is burning the midnight oil to figure things out, get us back to the first four. As well as I know, Alex, that college football, a lot of it comes down to emotion. A lot more in college football than the Sunday league. And as a coach, it was clear that Coach Dickert really captured and channeled the emotions to our benefit those first four games. And the worst thing that could happen to us was that that week bye. Right, we're on a roll, and I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, but I just, if they can figure that out, I think we can get the train back on the tracks. For me, I would personally challenge the players to their pride, and it's not as if they haven't done it before. They've done it before. And so we're not asking anything more of them. I realize other teams are getting better, but do whatever it takes.
It's such a great point you make about, emotion in college football and, momentum. Sometimes there feels like there's a karmic effect, right? If you make a big play, another big play kind of begets itself and
Absolutely.
So on and so forth, right? And You've noticed, right? You talk about after the bye week, it felt like the big plays haven't really gone our way, and that's
Turnovers
led to a landslide, right?
Yeah. No, you couldn't put it any better. And we were able to string together. Think about Coach Dickert. He's known for defense, and he took pride in the takeaway aspect, and those are hard. Those are few and far between after the bye week, right? And a lot of times those takeaways were momentum shifters and momentum builders for us, for sure. And they've been few and far between in the last 5 games. Let's hope we get it back somehow, some way. We just got to do it.
We continue with Jack after the break. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. We continue our conversation with Jack Thompson. We're at, an interesting moment in college football overall, right? There's obviously tectonic shifts in the landscape around, leagues and conferences. There's transfer portal and all of this, and then there's this landscape of NIL.
Yep.
And it's been, kind of in the news this week. I think at Coach Dickert's press conference, he got asked a question specifically about where Washington State stood, in the NIL landscape, and I think he answered it very truthfully. And to some degree, it got a little misconstrued that he was making excuses about the season and where the season was at. And in my personal opinion, I think it was, very much about the reality of where Washington State is at. And it's that, the Cougs need to find a way to compete because that's the way of the world right now. And that comes down to some dollars and cents conversations. And I know you're deeply involved in that, helping out with the Cougar Collective and some really great initiatives happening. I just, I'm fascinated by kind of your take on seeing it from the ground floor and then also outside looking in where, Coach Dickert's, trying to kind of fight for this program and really fight for Cougs everywhere.
Well, I wish we had an hour on the show on this topic.
We can do it another time for sure.
And I want to go on the record. I hate the NIL. I hate the portal as it stands today. I believe in it with all my heart that someday, hopefully in the not too distant future, Congress steps in and provides guardrails. I'm all in favor of players making more and whatnot, but it's the wild, wild west right now, and I hate it.
Right.
But this is the scene. This is reality for us today, and what Cougars have to decide is to, do you want to play in that landscape, or if you don't, then let's get out.
Right.
But I choose to play in there. I choose to do whatever I can, along with Robbie Tovic and Jed Collins, former players that Jed quite well. Use your go-to guy, and with Bump and we believe in it. We understand that in order for us to get it to the next level, we have to sustain, and thus the creation of the Cougar Collective. And again, it's not something I want to do. I feel I need and have to do it, to do whatever we can to equip Coach Dickert. And I'll tell you something about Coach Dickert. He doesn't make excuses. I cannot think of a better coach to help us through this time. People have a short memory. You remember after Pac-12 blew up? Think about who was out there front and center and talking on behalf of our program, our university. It was Dickert. And everyone loved him because they should, because he is the right man for the job right now. He doesn't make excuses, but I will say this. If we were able to retain Francisco Maulenga, our outside linebacker, who now is playing for Miami, University of Miami, and he's known as one of the best run stoppers in the country. The defensive star for Arizona State University, Trey Brown, against us. Guess what? He was wearing a Cougar uniform last year, and the starting right tackle for USC. He was a Cougar last year.
Right.
If we could only retain, not go out and compete money-wise with other people to get other players, but to retain the players that Coach Dickert recruits, we'll do great. We'll do great. So this is the reality. These are the realities we are having to deal with as an alumni base, and I'm challenging Cougs to get into the game, get off the freaking sidelines. Join 1890 Club, and if you could do more, do more. If you want to get $5 a month, get $5 a month, but get off the sidelines. There's no more excuses. I'm tired of hearing this notion of the Cougs they're the best at doing the most with the least. Well, screw that. How about if we do the most with more?
There you go.
We got to change this mindset where we're spoiled. We were part of the Pac-12, but we were still coming in, at the bottom of the barrel when it comes down to budgets. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
Now, alumni can step in and play a major role in the direction of not just football, but women's sports, all the sports, by getting involved with the Cougar Collective, as well as give to the CAF.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about it. You're right. Coach Dickert's shown he's got the passion for it. He's the man for the job, and he's really stood up and stood up for Cougar football and Cougar athletics in general. And I think what you guys are doing with the collective is absolutely necessary. To your point, kind of necessary evil, quote unquote, but it's got to be done. And so we thank you for driving that forward. And I see you wearing also that Cougs First hat, which is close to my heart. We're thankful to have them as a part of this show and as a co-founder of Cougs First. You guys just had a huge event November 1st there in Spokane, the trade show, bi-yearly trade show you guys have. And I know that Cougs First has just been a smashing success for Coug-owned businesses ever since you guys started it. Tell us a little bit about the event and how all that went down.
Nothing better than being around a bunch of Cougs supporting one another. And my goal is to make sure that Cougs throughout the state know what Cougs are doing, what pockets of businesses, because we're into everything. I run a mortgage company. There are Cougs that own hotels. Our buddy Rippon owns a hotel right down in the middle of Spokane, and we want to promote that. And so we ask people, don't just give your business, but give Cougs a chance to earn your business. That's all we want. And now that I moved to Spokane, I think I could be the worst, will be the worst nightmare of Spokaneite Cougs, because I want to put it on them.
Yeah.
I lived my whole life on the west side, the purple side. And, and it about made me gag sometimes, being around those people, because, arrogance just knows no bounds. But I come here, this is Cougar country, with all due respect to Gonzaga and Eastern, trust me, the economic engine that Washington State University and our alumni base, the campus that we have here in Spokane, we are a force. And I'm asking Cougs to step up and step out, and not to be arrogant, but be passionate with who the hell you are. Going to Washington State means something. It means everything to me, my family.
Yeah.
And I dare say to Cougs who have gone there, they know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter 100%. What generation.
Right.
And one thing you won't find from us, we won't be arrogant. That's not in our DNA. We're humble, but we're passionate. But we need to step up. Now's the time our school needs us, and I'm going to be pushing that. And two vehicles that I want to use to help that: Cougs First and the Cougar Collective. And I encourage Cougs to get involved. Our alumni association, join the damn alumni association. We have 40,000 members, right? Plus members now, but we need 100,000. We have over 250,000 grads out there. No brainer.
Yeah.
No brainer.
No brainer. Well, your passion is very, very clear, Jack, and we can't thank you enough for all that you do for the university, that you did for the university when you were playing, that you do now. There's no doubt that Washington State needs alums like you now more than ever, and I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, your thoughts on the team and all the great things you're doing around Washington State University and Washington State athletics. So thanks again for joining Talkin Cougars.
Thanks, Alex. Always good to be with you. I'm very proud of all the things that you're doing. Keep it up. Talk to you later, brother.
More Talkin Cougars after the break. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. It's time now for our best bet, brought to you by Northern Quest Resort and Casino, largest casino in the Northwest. Super excited now to be joined by the one and only voice of the Cougars, Matt Chazanow, and my broadcast partner. We see each other often, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. Super happy to have you. 9 years as the voice of the Cougs. I've got to spend 6 of them with you, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Hey, listen, it's great to be here. It's awesome you're doing this. Hugs to Bump, but honored to keep the seat a little warm for him. And 9 years flown by, and I don't take a snap, dribble, or pitch for granted. Not a single bit of it. It's been awesome.
Well, Coug fans and all of us that get to enjoy the voice are very lucky, man. So keep doing what you're doing. You're in it day to day. You attend practices. You have the coaches show. Would love to get a little bit of a state of the union, based on your time around the program, and I'm sure you're down there this week a little bit. So would love to hear your thoughts about where things are at.
Yeah, man, I just think the key and the thing that would be most heartwarming for Coug fans to consider is it's not for lack of effort and there's no quit, right? I mean, 5 losses in a row is just hard. It's hard for everybody, makes everybody look at themselves in every way. Is this the right formation? Am I doing the right thing technically? Is the effort there? What's wrong? Why aren't we winning more? What's happening? And so you get crises of confidence, hopefully not too much, right? But you become introspective and you look in the mirror. And I think above all, when I'm at practice, I don't see a lack of effort. I don't see anything wildly different than when they started 4-0. I think there's a process, and I think I saw Mike Leach stick to his, right? And I've seen Coach Dickert have a way that he has practice structured, and that there's a standard of effort that is there. And I think they've lost close games. But they won a close one, what became a close one against the Beavers, and I expect nothing other than a 100% competitive effort in Berkeley, and frankly, like, I'm chomping at the bit to get down there and get to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Time now for Talking Numbers, presented by Cross Country Mortgage, making every mortgage feel like a win. Big picture, talking about Jake Dicker, year two, kind of full year two. If you really step back 10,000 feet and look at the history of Washington State football, year two coaches, including Mike Leach and Mike Price, have really struggled, just as they're starting to institute, I think, their ethos and get, the athletes, bought into their way of doing things. And it's almost just a natural part of the process, as hard as it is to watch it happen and feel it happen like we always do.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, right? I think there's a learning curve for everybody. I also think it's symptomatic of year two, year three. It could be, year 9 for Mike Price. And I'm not picking on Mike Price's 9th year, whatever happened that year. The league is hard, right?
Yeah,
what this
great point.
league is it's really deep. You're up against great teams. They've been banged up, right? Lincoln Victor got hurt. Shaw Smith Wade had been out. Cooper Mathers was down. Let's not forget, they haven't started the same offensive line configuration all year. That's there have been some shifts in that. So things that everybody's dealing with, right? And I think the Cougs are not unique in that way, but that's why these games are close, right? That's why these are razor thin margins. And some of these games that I think that Coug fans saw 4-0, they thought would be locks. There's no lock. There's no such thing, right? And that's true in every game. That's true in the Apple Cup. That's true this week in Seattle when the Utes go there. That's true for the Ducks playing USC, right? There's no lock. So and it's true for Cal. The Cougs are coming into Berkeley looking to win, right? They want to win they want to win at minimum 2 of the next 3 games. They want to bowl, right? And then obviously they want to win all 3. They want to win 4 in a row and get to an 8-win team, right? And if that happened, I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
I'd say, hey, it's not how I expected them to get to 8-5, but that's why they play the game.
Matt, I don't think it's too hyperbolic to say it's a must-win down in Berkeley, and like you said, seems like the team's ready to go. Excited to get down there and be on the call with you. Appreciate you jumping on, Talking Cougars today. Thanks again.
Love it. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me, buddy. I'll see you down there.
More Talking Cougars after the break. Talkin Cougars is presented by Flat Stick Pub. It's time now for our final drive, brought to you by Valley Buick GMC. See you in the Valley. Fired up now to have my friend and our longtime sideline reporter for the Washington State Cougar radio broadcast, 12 years on the sidelines. Jessamine McIntyre, more importantly, have taken a new role back in broadcast radio at 93.3 KJR as the assistant programming director. I get to see you every week with my friend Ian Furness. Thank you for joining us. Excited for you and your new role. How's it going so far?
It's been great. I mean, I took a little walkabout during the COVID years to try out some new things, but Sports Talk Radio is my home, and I maintained my role on the sidelines with the Cougs the whole time. And that just kept me in everything that I love. It's my favorite role that I have across the plethora of experiences and jobs that I've taken over the years. But it is absolutely where I belong.
You also have a unique perspective. You're on the sidelines, right? And it's in-game, and we all know how the sidelines can get in-game. Teams in kind of an unprecedented 5-game slide for recent Cougar football history. As you're down there on the sidelines, both coaches and players, what is the vibe that you get and kind of that experience you feel when you're on the sidelines, particularly in the last few weeks?
Yeah, well, the last few weeks, the biggest thing that I've seen not happen, which I have seen in the past in a downtrodden time, is that there is still fight in this team and that they are not defeated. I read the energy when I'm down there. I can tell what they're going through. I can tell if it's up, if it's down, if it's passionate, if it's angry. And there wasn't a lack of energy when it came to any of the games that I've been down there. Obviously, I was up in the booth with you during the Oregon game, just ran down for that halftime interview with Coach Dicker, but I haven't seen quit. And I would at least take that as a win right now while they're going through this skid.
I was thinking about the game last week that we had a little bit of inclement weather in Pullman for most of the first half, and it got me thinking about, again, your role as the sideline reporter and some of the unique challenges, or challenge is probably a fair way to say it. I wanted to ask you, over 12 years, you got to spend time with Coach Leach, you got Coach Dickert now, you've had a plethora of players and coaches and those sort of things. Tell me a little bit about kind of what makes that role maybe fun, maybe difficult, maybe something that the folks don't know about it.
I feel like I'm in it. And I feel like I'm getting to witness things that, maybe I've taken for granted at certain points, because nobody gets that vantage point that I get. And I'm very lucky to do it. And having grown up in a football family, particularly a college football family, knowing how cool it was, and that is something that I always gravitated towards, it's really amazing to just watch it up close and personal, things that you aren't going to see if you're watching at home on television or even from the stands. I think my favorite part is getting to see the family of the team because of how important this sport was to mine my entire life. And just watching those bonds and everything, and just seeing how the coaches deal with adversity, how people deal with success, just that right there up close in person is something that I really, really enjoyed. But I could go on for about 30 minutes telling you everything I love about it.
Yeah, it's so cool. And like I said, the consummate professional. We're lucky to have both you and Chaz, who are transplants to the Coug football and the Cougar community. And I know you've embraced it with open arms, and we have as well. We can't thank you enough for all that you do. Excited to see you down in Berkeley this weekend. Thanks again for joining Talkin Cougars.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it, gang. It was just me today and my friends joining us. We missed you, Michael Bumpus. We know you'll be back. I'm Alex Brink. You can find me on Twitter at AlexBrink10 if you want to talk more. And I will be on the call on Saturday with the two you just saw, Matt Chasnow and Jessamine McIntyre, on the Cougar Sports Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in to Talkin Cougars.